Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Moscow on a two-day visit. This is his first visit since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. India hasn't publicly condemned Moscow's actions, but has called for a diplomatic solution. Mr. Modi is planning to hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin this evening. India's maintained close ties with Russia despite pressure from its Western allies. Let's get more from our correspondent Emily Sherwin. Emily joins us from Riga, where DW Russia is based since being expelled from Moscow by Russian authorities. Welcome, Emily. How important is Mr. Modi's visit for Vladimir Putin and indeed for Russia?
Well, this visit is really convenient when it comes to optics for Vladimir Putin, because, of course, Putin is increasingly isolated since the war in Ukraine. He's been under Western sanctions, and this is really an opportunity for him to show that he has friends. And actually, this has been last week and today as well. This week has been a pretty good week when it comes to showing he has friends for Vladimir Putin. Last week, he met on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit with the Turkish President Erdogan, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. He also met China's Xi Jinping. Then on Friday, Viktor Orban from Hungary came to see him and to talk about peace in Ukraine. He, of course, has just taken over the EU's rotating presidency. So, you know, Putin used that as an opportunity to show that even the EU is reaching out to him for dialogue. And the second point here as well, when it comes to optics, is the timing of this. As you mentioned, the NATO summit starts tomorrow. The official meetings between Modi and Putin start tomorrow as well. And the rhetoric from Russia increasingly has been that they're building what they call a multipolar world, that the West is obsolete, that the global South is increasingly important. And of course, India is a very important partner when it comes to the global South for Russia as well. So this is really kind of, you know, Putin showing who cares about the West. We have other people to talk to.
So India increasingly important, not just politically, but also economically as Russia becomes increasingly isolated. Just talk us through that.
Well, that's right. Since the Ukraine war, with sanctions, trade has actually surged with India, and some of the oil and gas, particularly crude oil, in fact, that Europe has stopped buying from Russia has been simply diverted to India. They've become a very important buyer of that crude oil, and they've been filling up essentially Russia's coffers with billions of dollars. Russia has also offered India discounts, not only on that oil, but also on coal and fertilizer. And Russia is a very important supplier of arms to India. Now, India has been looking to diversify when it comes to arms, but there's really a lot economically at stake here, especially with those Western partners, as I said, putting sanctions on Russia and not buying their oil anymore. So, you know, India has really become an important partner for to keep Russia afloat, essentially, since the Ukraine war.
But in the Indian Prime Minister going to Moscow to shake hands with the Russian President on the same day as Russia is being blamed for bombing a children's hospital. This doesn't look good for Modi in terms of optics, surely.
It's definitely a very difficult balancing act for Narendra Modi when it comes to the war. As you mentioned, he has said repeatedly that he's in favor of peace and talks on peace and diplomacy, but he hasn't directly condemned the war. That's kind of an awkward position to be in, and perhaps that's reflected in the fact that tomorrow, during the official part of this visit, there won't be any press statements, so Modi won't have to make any kind of awkward verbal gymnastics. So there's kind of an awkward balancing act there when it comes to the war.
OK, thanks for that, Emily. DW correspondent Emily Sherwin.